It's time for Talkward, Cringeworthy Tales. And now, your host, weekly humorist, editor-in-chief, Marty Dundix.
Hi, and welcome to Talkward. I'm Marty Dundix, editor-in-chief of Weekly Humorist magazine, and this is Talkward, a fun little place where professionally funny people come to tell awkward and cringeworthy stories. I'm so excited about today's guest because I've been doing this show since 2017, and I can't believe that he hasn't been a guest on the show yet, because by far, of all of the humor writers and comedians and artists that I know, AJ DiCosimo has got to have the weirdest, most awkward, most cringeworthy stories of pretty much anybody I've ever met.
I have so many of those.
So I'm so happy to have AJ. Thank you for being on Talkward.
Hey, Marty.
Hey, AJ.
Thanks for having me.
I'm so happy.
Oh, I'm happy too.
I'm so happy you're just lounging there. You're just lounging on a couch, just holding up a device just aimed at you're just like doing like a 2-hour podcast selfie.
I know. This is going right to my OnlyFans afterwards.
You don't actually have an OnlyFans, do you? Because I don't think that I would be surprised.
I don't have one yet.
You're like, is there a market? Is there a market for like kind of a Cleveland-based, just kind of like a, I don't know, a little grungy comedy writer, just like a
Right, guy who covers his body in shaving cream.
I wanted to get to that. So that's probably one of your biggest claims to fame right out of the gate.
Yeah.
AJ probably had his biggest viral moment in the past couple of years. And I don't know why he did this. And I saw it, I think, almost in real time. He stripped completely naked. He covered himself in shaving cream and started playing guitar. And people loved it. And people wanted more AJ naked, covered in shaving cream, playing guitar. What was it that you played? Was it James Taylor to start? Eric Clapton?
No, I played American Girl by Tom Petty.
Tom Petty. There you go. Classic.
Yeah. I don't know what compelled me to do it. I've actually been doing it for a long time.
I didn't know that it's been going on for so long. That
it's a decade plus.
so
But I didn't do it publicly like that. I would like do it and then send it privately to people, like individual people.
So I mean, it's almost like you started your own OnlyFans before OnlyFans was a thing. You had a private network of people that were getting videos of naked AJ covered in shaving cream playing Tom Petty songs. I mean, that's too long of a name, so OnlyFans is a much shorter version of that name.
Right. It would make people groan. It was called Groanly Fans. Groanly Fans.
Groanly.
Because people would be like, this again.
This guy. This is one lonely guy in Cleveland.
Yeah, just showcasing things that he can do. I don't know. It's a funny thing. The thing. I call it Slut Man.
Slut Man?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's like an umlaut over the A.
It's classy that way.
Yeah. Because I'm not as good of a guitar player or have as good of a voice to just sing songs on the internet. And the shaving cream is too creepy to exist on its own.
Right.
So I feel like the two things combined.
Yeah, it's like the Naked Cowboy in Times Square.
Yeah.
Only, Naked Cowboys in Times Square. Cleveland, Ohio has naked shaving cream guy.
Yeah.
That's
me.
Harder to pose with people for photos.
Yeah, people repel you with chemicals in their purse.
People don't like it. And
no.
Let's get technical. How much shaving cream does it take to cover your entire naked body before you get ready to play the Tom Petty?
Not as much as you think, Marty. A little bit goes a long way.
I am thinking a little bit too much about this, but I would say, not a whole can.
No.
No.
It's maybe like 2 dollops.
Really? Because you really cover it up.
I do, but it's more like a bikini. It's not like my entire body. And I don't cover my thunder.
Okay.
Because it's like very much from the waist down.
Okay. But
That thing's just swinging around.
Now, if you did open up an OnlyFans, would you go full head to toe,
Yeah.
covered in the Barbasol? Is it Barbasol? Yeah.
Yeah, it's Barbasol. I'm not buying the expensive stuff to do this. My production costs aren't that high.
Is that the Gillette? I'm not even sure what expensive shaving. This is how poor I am. I don't even know of expensive shaving cream. I only know of the cheapest possible option.
Oh yeah, I just go with the Barbasol.
Classic.
Yeah.
Menthol?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, cooling.
Feels real good.
I bet it does.
It feels unbelievably good.
So you've been doing naked shaving cream guitar player for years now.
Yeah.
And now it's just becoming a thing. And now you're getting all these media requests. It's ruining your life, taking over. It's all anybody wants to talk about. So
I know, it's crazy.
Are you going to keep doing it, or are you going to put it to bed now that it's becoming popular?
I'm going to do it until people tell me to stop.
Okay.
And I do it like infrequently enough to where people aren't like, oh, this is like I'm saturating the world with my gift.
I've only seen it twice, so I think that.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, there's a lot.
Are there?
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to look now. I don't want to look.
No, you don't have to look.
Has anyone ever taken them down? Have you ever gotten flagged?
Mm-mm.
Really?
I'm not making money on it.
Well, that's some artistic integrity. People, they're letting you live your life and do your art.
Yeah. They're just like, why would we sully such a gift?
Exactly. I think that the world needs some like in-person performances of this.
Yeah, I did that once. I did an in-person one, sort of.
Tell me about doing an in-person covered in shaving cream guitar show.
So here's a cringeworthy tale. I had a friend. Are you into football, NFL football?
I've heard of it.
Okay, well, you guys up in New York, you had a great player named Odell Beckham Jr.
Yes.
And this was around the time where there were rumors he was going to get traded to the Cleveland Browns. And a buddy of mine said, who is also a stand-up around here, Brian Sternett. He was very funny. He said, I'll shave my eyebrow off if the Browns trade for Odell Beckham Jr. So when he got traded here, a bunch of like people around here like did like a freezing cold take on him. And they were like, oh, you got to do it now. So they set up this thing where I went out in public and did it at a venue. And I came out to Heaven is a Place on Earth by Belinda Carlisle. And I had like shaving cream in my mouth. And I like spit it into my hand. I like smacked him in the face. And I shaved his eyebrow. It's not really a cringe-worthy tale. It's just something
I think it is. I think it is. I think for anybody else, just like 1/8 of that story would be cringeworthy enough for them.
Yeah.
You're out in Cleveland, Ohio.
I am.
I find this interesting, and you're one of my favorite writers. I think maybe because of this. Because you've written for the New Yorker.
I have.
You've written for Weekly Humorist. Have you? Are you a McSweeney's person?
I've never been in McSweeney's.
Have you tried?
I can't crack that nut.
Okay, but I mean, you've cracked the New Yorker nut many times.
A few, like 4 or 5 times.
What are you talking? I'm looking at a list of things you've written here from the New Yorker, going back to. Is this 4? 1, 2.
Yeah, I've only written 4.
But they're pretty good. 4 pretty good.
Thank you.
4 pretty good things. And I've gotten to publish a ton of things for Weekly Humorist for you because your stuff is so crazy and funny and irreverent, and it just has a funny viewpoint that I feel like is just out of left field, and I think that's because of you're coming from a place that seems to be different than the stereotypical maybe New Yorker humor writer. In your mind, it's like a coastal elite, I went to Brown stereotype. And then you got AJ in Cleveland, who's more just like more of a punk rock humor writer. I kind of feel
I guess it's a way of looking at it.
You're
that's the nicest thing anyone's ever said to me.
You're you're out there, covered in shaving cream, playing guitar for fun. And I just think it's just a different viewpoint that you bring to the comedy writing world that people don't aren't used to. I feel like you're just a very unique voice, and that's why I think when you write stuff, it's so funny. Just because it's like, I think a lot of people can they get stuck in the sameness of a lot of McSweeney's stuff can kind of be very similar to each other. There's a definite tone and style that they stick to. And a lot of times in the New Yorker, same thing, you know. But the stuff that you have in the New Yorker is just like zany craziness. And I'm throwing this up on the screen. If you're listening to this, there's a video option, and you guys can go and watch the video sometime, whatever. Yeah. If not, you're listening to us, and you can picture how great AJ and I look. We definitely don't look like two schlubs. No, not at all. Just like in a basement apartment or whatever. Okay.
Marty's the one covered in shaving cream today.
I certainly am. This menthol is starting to burn.
Yeah, it is.
But some of these New Yorker stuff, famous forgotten quotes. So they're just like fake quotes from Julius Caesar, Charlemagne, Paul Revere. Very funny. A lot of your stuff is very historical based. Like a lot of your stuff is very like history, Plato, education, theology, movie, history. It's like a lot of just like, I don't know, a lot of like smarty topic things. So what puts you in this direction? Like, what did you grow up reading? What made you want to be a comedy writer? You know, how did this happen? Though this one's really funny. Some additional things Alanis Morissette's other hand could be doing while she's got one hand in her pocket. Because I've got one hand in my pocket and the other one is stuck in a can of Pringles.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like you're, I grew up watching a lot of late night David Letterman, and that was kind of like my comedy hero growing up was Letterman and Bill Murray and Steve Martin and those kind of guys. And he had sort of an absurdist nature to late night that was totally different than, you know, anything else you saw on television and anything you would see on Carson. And you have this sort of absurdistness that I think is just like very funny, and it's always there. Like it's always just like it's just an odd thing that I feel like almost can't be trained, you know, because you have to live in the world and you have to pick up the references to be able to make the really absurdist jokes, right? Like you have to. You know, you can't read it in a book. Like you have to have watched this old movie, or you have to have done this dumb thing to be able to make fun of it later. So, you know, what in your life has led you to make this is some of the articles from Weekly Humorist I have up on the screen if you're watching the video. But the Totally True Oscar Facts was very funny. The following preview has been approved for all audiences. That was a very funny. A lot of the stuff that you write, I like so much too because. I like making visual design and illustration for articles on Weekly Humorist.
And sometimes when I'll write it and I'll send it to you, I'm like, I have no idea how he's going to do it. And then you nail it.
I love it. I love figuring out how to make something visually work to illustrate the joke of the article. And some of your stuff is just so absurd, and I love the weird visuals. This was Christian Bale in a bowl of porridge.
Yeah.
This was an absurd and morally irresponsible look at the possible Best Picture nominees. I transformed my body into a pot of beef stew for this role, and it's Christian Bale. And
the Browns thing.
The Browns thing was real. I remember when you.
That was insane.
So I remember I was in Los Angeles for work meetings. I was like pitching a TV show. Was very excited. So I'm in like an Airbnb in Hollywood, and I'm doing the work for Weekly Humorist on my laptop in the kitchen. And then this thing blows up, and I see that you wrote this online job posting for a new opening as the head coach of the Cleveland Browns. And something had happened where you posted this on a real job site.
Indeed.
So you posted a real job site posting for a Cleveland Browns coach on Indeed, and it like exploded.
Yeah.
And it was very funny.
Made the news.
It made the news. And I remember you sent it to me, and I was like, and because they were going to take it down, I go, just send it to me. I'll put it on Weekly Humorist right now, and you can keep it up. And it was so funny, and it was so topical, and that was a great one. And this was a great article I'm going to put all these clips at the bottom of this so people can read some of your stuff. But this was so random. It was to whoever finds this note. Do you remember this article?
I do, yeah.
It's so strange, and it's all like it's almost like it could be filmed as like a short movie. You know, it's almost like an indie adventure comedy. The the pull quote is, "I'm sorry that it had to be you, but if you're reading this, it means that your life is in danger and you don't have much time. On the table in the dining room, you'll find a loaded bazooka next to a flak jacket and an arsenal of automatic assault weapons. Next to those, you'll find a banana in a brown paper bag. Eat that banana." And then it just starts, and it's just like this insane article. So tell me all about why it is that you write such crazy, funny, absurdist articles like this, AJ.
So a lot of people like okay, so satire, like a lot of people satirize politics, or they satirize like issues going on.
Right.
And those people are much better at that than I am.
Because you got to know,
I'm making
what's
fun
going on.
of a lot of the unknown.
Yeah.
The things that I have an issue with are very esoteric. That I'm just kind of like, what? It's like, why are we here?
You have the bigger, deeper questions. You don't want to know about topical. I don't care who's on the news. I don't care what's going on. I want to know more about the meaning of life.
Yeah, a little bit.
You know,
I read The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy over and over and over and over again.
Don't panic.
That is where there is a singing dolphin at the heart of everything I do, somewhere.
Yeah.
And the same way, like that kind of wrestles and grasps with just big, big philosophical questions. I try to turn them into poop jokes.
I like it. I think that the world needs more poop jokes that are wrapped in a philosophical question. You know, always bring your towel. Don't panic. I loved The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I thought that was such a groundbreaking work. If people haven't read that, it's Douglas Adams. He's amazing, and he invented like so much sci-fi that's true now. You know, like things that I think it's so interesting when you watch something or you read something from like, I don't know, 50, 100 years ago, and then you see that, oh, this person just predicted all this. Like this person created an iPad in the,
for sure.
You know, like they created this technology that then someone else actually made, but they made it because they read this in a book when they were a kid, and they were like, wouldn't that be cool if they actually had that? And then they made it an iPad. And that was The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
I read that so many times, and there's like, I could see there's like a Python-esque sort of influencer, obviously, because he did stuff for Python. But like I said, I'm just I like silly.
Yeah, light.
I don't write angry.
There's a lot of angry humor and satire out there, like rage satire, which happens a lot because of crazy politics and Trump, and
for sure.
It's really kind of raised the boiling point of people, and they write things to deal with their feelings, and that's fine, and it's you know, it's very funny, it's very clever, and it's very topical. But the stuff that you write that's just like absurd, it's so much more fun because it kind of takes you away from reality, and it lets you forget about how effed up the world is, and you can just kind of be like, I got to eat this banana because I'm about to have an adventure. You know?
It's like Jack Handy. Jack Handy is another one of those guys for me that I'm just like, it's just so silly.
Yeah, deep thought.
And he's making fun of us.
Yes, he absolutely is. Remember when he was about going to Disneyland? And he's like, I was going to take my kids. I said, hey, we're going to go to Disneyland. And he took them to like a fast food place that had a fire and it was burned down, or a mall. And then I told him this was Disneyland. Oh no, Disneyland burned down. And then
It's so,
I was going to take him to real Disneyland, but it was getting pretty late. And
right.
it's so, and I haven't read that in 20 years, but just like I have the books, and just on SNL, and I was actually just talking to some other comedy friends about Army Man the other day. Have you ever heard of Army Man? It was like
I've heard of Army Man just because I'm a Jack Handy junkie.
Yeah, Army Man was this like basically a zine in the late. It was like 1989, and they had 3 issues, and it was like a handmade. They only made like this many copies, and I think that they like self-stapled them or they got them done at like a copy shop. But it was like crazy. It was like cartoons and weird. It was like It was like Deep Thoughts and stuff like that, and a lot of people who ended up going to SNL or had worked at Letterman worked at this little startup. It's like everyone says now, like, hey, everybody, if because of YouTube or because of the internet, anybody can, if they have talent, they can make something and put it on the internet. People can see it, and that's very true. But in the '80s, they could do it too. They just made a zine, and you just photocopied a bunch of paper, and you passed it out to people, and you said, hey, read this paper, and people were like, all right, and then they did, and
that's how the Onion was the same way too.
Yeah.
We have very small grassroots type of stuff.
So what are you reading now, AJ? And are you working on any articles? Because I'm expecting a bunch of Weekly Humorist articles.
Yes, I owe you some. What am I reading now? I'm reading. I don't read like a lot of humor. I guess I am rereading some humor right now. I'm rereading Without Feathers by Woody Allen right now.
Okay. I have not read that.
Yeah. It's very funny. I know it's not in vogue to find him funny, but I would be lying to you if I said that he wasn't such another one that was like so profoundly influential to me and informed a lot of how I write things. So I'm rereading that right now.
Okay. Are you? What are your favorite comedy movies?
I don't know if it's really considered a comedy movie. There are a lot of movies that I think are like so unbelievably funny, but that aren't like really like comedy movies.
Like what? Like, are we talking about
The
like
Exorcist is one of the funniest movies ever
like
made.
Scarface?
No, like The Exorcist, I think is hilarious.
Is it hilarious because you think it's so bad, or because it's?
No, I think it's a masterpiece.
Okay.
I mean, minus, I think, one, I don't think that movie's particularly scary because I think that movie's a victim of its reputation. Like, you grow up and, 40, 50 years of hearing this is the scariest movie ever made.
Right.
Then I see it, and I'm like, yeah, it's scary, but the devil's not real. At least I don't believe the devil's real.
Right.
So when you watch it, it's somebody who doesn't think the devil's real. You're just watching this 13-year-old kid just say the most fucked up shit. And you're just like, oh my God, this is so funny. Another movie that's like that for me that I think is hilarious is Glengarry Glen Ross.
Yeah, Always Be Closing.
Yeah, I mean, it's hilarious. Being John Malkovich might be one of the funniest movies I've ever seen.
That was a good movie. I could see you being. Were you a Bottle Rocket fan?
I like Bottle Rocket. Yeah. My favorite movie of Wes Anderson is Rushmore.
Rushmore is great. Such a great movie.
It is great.
And it's a great Bill Murray character. Like the way that they fight. They fight like real equals. and he's like this high school kid. And they're just like going at it. Like when he runs over his bike with the car.
I know, it's so funny. They pour the bees in the elevator.
It's like cartoonishly funny. Like I love it when a movie is heightened to the fact, like I grew up watching like Tom and Jerry and Looney Tunes and that kind of stuff. So like my sensibilities are like very much out of whack when you actually want to see something that's that level of comedy. It can't happen because it's totally unrealistic. But then when they figure out a way to make it like a Wes Anderson movie can do that. Like it can take something that's so ridiculous but do it with live action.
Yes. Did you see The French Dispatch?
I started it. I think I'm 45 minutes into it.
My opinion, as I saw it in theaters, I was not crazy about it myself.
It was a little slow. It seemed a little slow.
It did. I came away going like, I feel like this was made by a fan of Wes Anderson who went to Wes Anderson and who also didn't read the New Yorker.
Yeah.
Like I felt it made a tribute to the New Yorker in the style of a Wes Anderson movie.
Right. I think
that's how I felt about it.
I felt like it was very disconnected where all the different stories were so separate. And I feel like when you think of a magazine, like if I was going to make a fictitious version of Weekly Humorist as a sitcom, it would be this like Muppet Show type place where all of these insane people are interacting with each other. And there's like one person like me who's boring and trying to keep it all together. And I feel like that would be like a TV show about a magazine. That would be like,
I would write that TV show.
I would watch that show.
I would watch it. I would record it on my VHS player.
Do you still record things on a VHS player?
I don't think you can anymore, but I would.
I remember I used to set my recorder and I would record Parker Lewis Can't Lose, which was a wonderful Fox show in the mid-90s? Early 90s.
How many seasons did it run?
Like 2? Maybe 2?
What was the name of the show?
It was called Parker Lewis Can't Lose, and it was kind of a take on like a Ferris Bueller, but done a little bit more like hip Fox 90s. And the star of the show was Korn Nemec, who was like the coolest lead comedic, it was supposed to be like the cool high school guy. And he had like two buddies. Like one was like this nerd guy, and one was kind of more of a jock guy. It was such a stereotypical show. It was great, and they were always like skipping class and hacking and figuring out ways to like scheme and change their grades. It was very Ferris Bueller-y, but it was more of a sitcom. And the principal was this woman named Miss Musso. Oh, I can't believe you haven't seen this show. This show is so good. And they would do synchronized swatches, and they would all put their watches together, and they would synchronize their watches, and they would say synchronized swatches. They all were swatches. Very, product placement. And then they had this large football player that was named Kubiak, and he would always kind of help them out. And whenever they would do a favor for Parker Lewis and his crew, Kubiak would say, "Eat now," and then they would hold a fish up, and Kubiak would eat the live fish, and then he would walk away. I can't.
I've never remembered this much about any TV show I've ever seen in my life. This must have really touched you.
And and he would wear like fun shirts, but they would always be buttoned to the very top. So he would wear, and it would be the shirt would be buttoned to the top with like a collar, and he had his hair coiffed up, almost like an Elvis. Like it was like hairspray, like almost like a Vanilla Ice, like a Vanilla Ice wall of hair. And so of course when I was like, I don't know, it was maybe 6th or 7th grade, of course I tried doing my hair up. I tried, it didn't look good. It didn't work at all.
I don't believe you.
I didn't look
cool. I think it looks great.
I didn't have any cool schemes. I didn't anyway. You got to check out Parker Lewis Can't Lose.
Where's it streaming?
I don't think it's streaming anywhere. I'm
gonna find out right now.
I'm gonna have to digitize my VHSs of Parker Lewis Can't Lose and put them on a hard drive, and people can access it through my computer.
Let's reboot it. They did a reboot of Saved by the Bell.
It's a good point. Maybe they should have like a revisit of Parker Lewis scheming.
I'm gonna find it right now.
Okay, I'll wait.
No, I'm listening to you.
So AJ, you're in Cleveland. Oh, so your writing partner is Erica?
Jess Falston.
Jess Falston. So she's on a couple of your articles. And how did you find her to be a writing partner? How did you guys start writing together? She's in Los Angeles, I believe.
Yeah. She was originally a stand-up comic out here in Cleveland.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and we just met each other through the scene. And her and I, like, I've written with other people, not necessarily articles, but I've written, like, short films and stuff. There's nobody I've ever met that we're just so simpatico comedically. Like if I'm just like I get stuck, I'm like I don't know if I can finish this. I'll call her up, and she just knows exactly what to do to finish it or fix it.
And she has your same comedic sensibility then. Like you guys are you're good writing partners because you have that same kind of taste.
Yeah, I don't think I could write with as such ease and as little frustration that I could with her.
And how do you like? What's your process for writing with a person who's much further away? So you guys are all on like Google Docs or something and writing.
Yeah, we open up a Google Doc. I share it with her. I'm just like run with it.
And when you start,
and in case you want to know, Parker Lewis is streaming on Crackle.
Crackle, the thing that nobody watches, and it was completely absorbed. I think it was on like Sony owned it, and then they dumped all of it onto something else. Interesting.
Yeah.
So Crackle has the one show that formed my entire personality in the '90s. That's nice. I'll have to watch that. I'll have to see like what a fraud I am. I'll have to watch it now and be like, oh my God, that's where I got everything.
No, is this hold on, is that the show?
Yeah, that is the show.
That's them. That's them.
That's the show. And that guy, the nerdy guy with the glasses, so he always wore this like long coat, and he was like the nerd friend. He was like the assistant, and he had always the show. I liked the show because it had that kind of Looney Tunes humor to it. It had sight gags, it had visual, it had pratfalls. It didn't make any sense. It was like a cartoon, but it was live action. And the assistant would always, Parker would say something, and then he'd say, and he'd pull like a fax machine out of his coat, and it would be like a functioning fax, or he'd be getting a fax, and he'd be like, paper would be coming out of his coat. It was completely ridiculous. Like it didn't make any sense. It was.
I love zany, loony.
Oh, you'll love this show. It's like sight gags. It doesn't. It's not set in the real world. It's that and like less so, but also a very good show was The Adventures of Briscoe County Jr., which was also on.
You've
Fox.
told me about this before.
It's a great show. And that is, it's got a talking horse. It doesn't make any sense. It's sort of like a steampunk Western adventure.
That's awesome, dude.
There used to be such good television on. Now everything's kind of the same.
I know, dude. Like think about it. Like at one point they were like, yeah, Flying Nun.
Flying Nun. There used to be a show where a nun would fly around, and that was the show.
That's it.
There was a genie. There was a show where the guy had a bottle, and there was a woman that lived inside the bottle. And she'd make wishes come true.
That's it.
That's it.
This is what you get for 11 seasons.
Yeah. Yeah, it would be on forever. When there's like
11 seasons, we're going to have a really hot genie.
That's it.
That's it. That's all we need.
Now it's like things get, they get like half an episode to get a chance to find an audience. And it's like, oh, this isn't a hit? Pull it.
We're done.
We're done. No one's ever going to see this.
Hey, I have a TV show idea.
Batgirl, the movie. We made the whole movie. Pull it. We're never going to show it to anybody.
Never. It's just going to be in the lot, in a can somewhere.
It's ridiculous. I want to see that.
Hey, I got a show idea. It's about an idiot on an island. What's it called? Gilligan's Island.
I'd watch that. Put it on for 12 seasons. Never let them off the island.
That's right. Wait, you tell me they're never going to escape? No. And most of the time, they're not even trying.
They're just making shit out of coconuts.
Right. There's only one guy, the scientist, who's trying. And the rest of them, they're just dicking around on an island.
I love the Howells, the couple, the Howells, Thurston Howell the third or whatever. And he would always have like suits, and he was always, they were all dressed up like they were on vacation. They were on a desert island for like 12 years. It's great.
It's crazy.
And then they find out, they're only 10 minutes away from the coast. And then they all, at the finale, I don't know if anyone saw the finale, they realized they were only 10 minutes away from the coast. They all committed suicide on the last episode. They don't show that very much. You never see that on TV Land. You never, but...
No, not anymore.
It was a sad way to go. It was kind of like it was like the last episode of MASH, and kind of sad.
A lot of people don't know this, but you know how Richie Cunningham's older brother, he existed for like one season of Happy Days?
What happened?
Autoerotic asphyxiation.
Oh, is that true?
No, that's just.
Oh, okay.
What my speculation.
It could happen. I mean,
1950s Milwaukee was an insane place. It was a den of sin.
I bet.
Yeah.
So you're in Cleveland. How did you end up in Cleveland? Were you born in Cleveland? Did you get lost?
Yeah, born and raised.
Okay.
I love it here.
I've been to Cleveland one time.
Oh, really? What would you come here for?
It was for a funeral.
Yeah.
But it was a nice time. It was a nice time otherwise. It was a nice town. I thought it was nice. You've had some interesting jobs. Speaking of funerals, you've worked at a crematorium.
I'm still at the crematorium.
I find this also something that's very interesting about you, and that I think it reflects in your writing, in that you're a man of the world, in that you've worked lots of different hard jobs, and I feel like it's given you a lot to write about.
Oh, there's a lot of perspective.
A lot of perspective.
I worked at a group home for a very long time. I worked through the heart of the pandemic.
And
that was scary.
When you were at the group home, this is a hard job. You're working with people who have mental problems, who are constantly trying to tackle you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, and they won. They succeeded.
I did.
Yeah, I would get hit in the face. I'd get spit on.
I bet if you broke out the shaving cream guitar persona, that maybe they would have been less inclined to hit you, because they would have been like...
Yeah, they would have ran the other way.
Very confused. Yeah.
They would have ran in the opposite direction towards the funeral you attended.
Probably. Probably.
I mean, I would rather be anywhere but here.
Anywhere. But you know, the one place I did go when I was in Cleveland that is still a place that I purchased things online from is Penzi Spices.
Whoa, where's that?
It's in Cleveland. It is a amazing spice market that makes the most wonderful spices for cooking. And I went there, and it was like, oh, this is wonderful. And I bought some spices, and then I gave some of the spices to my parents, and then they started buying them online, like a ton. I'm like, where do you get all these? Oh, we started buying Penzi spices on the internet. And I'm like, wow. And they're like, they have all these spices. And I'm like, it's incredible. I'm glad you like Penzi spices so much. So it really caught on. Who knew that the Penzi spices were so popular in Cleveland, Ohio?
Next time you come through here, I'll take you to the Rock Hall.
Okay. I'm never going to be in Cleveland.
I know. But hey, maybe another person you know will die. Maybe you'll be here for my funeral.
Maybe I'll be there for your funeral, AJ.
You're not coming to my funeral.
Is there going to be a performer covered in a shaving cream playing Tom Petty?
No, but it's going to be all you can eat Penzi spices.
Ooh, okay, I'm in. Count me in.
Just a bowl of spices.
It's a grab bag. You don't know what the spices are. You don't know what it is. It could be just all salt.
Be anything.
I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, I was using
bring
spices.
Something to drink.
I was using spices earlier when I was cooking, AJ. And I was angry at the top of the spice container because you flip up one side of the spice container, and that is for sprinkling the spices. And then they have another side that you flip up, and that's for putting a spoon in and dumping out large amounts of spicing. Now, never in a million years do you need to shove a spoon inside of the spice container to spoon out. You never need it. So all this is a way to add some danger to me adding spices to my food. Am I going to open the wrong side and destroy my meal? So
Did you?
I did. I completely destroyed my meal, and I dumped like a ridiculous amount of the seasoning on my fish, and then I had to pat all of the seasoning off, and it just made a huge mess, and it was very disappointing. And I got very angry then, and I need to like duct tape that side closed so that I don't make that same mistake. And I just feel like they're doing that on purpose. What do
They
you
are.
think? Yeah.
They want you to buy more.
We need to get this fool to dump as much of the spices onto his fish.
That's right. The fish idiot, they call you in the industry. The spice industry. You know what I find fascinating about spices?
What?
500 years ago, countries risked generations of sailors to go search for spices because their food was too bland.
Yeah.
So they're like, we're going to go trek. I'd go on these dangerous places where people want us dead just because we have to season our fish.
Yeah. That's how much they hated. That's how much they hated their fish. Like, I eat food. It's fine. I don't put crazy amounts of spices on my food. It's fine. I'm so lazy. I'm not going like 2 blocks away to buy some spices. Let alone these guys were on these like boat adventures for years, circling the globe
For paprika
or saffron or whatever the hell.
Rosemary
might have been worth it. That might have been a useful thing.
Rosemary is very good.
Rosemary on some lamb is amazing. Amazing, AJ. Oh my God.
That's actually weird. I tell people that you're my little rosemary lamb.
Is that what you call me to other people?
That's what I call you.
That's nice.
And you're like, hey, do you think Marty will like this piece? Oh, you mean my little rosemary lamb?
I like it.
Yeah.
I like that on Instagram you are AJ Sweet Pea is your nickname on Instagram. It's good.
Yeah.
It's nice.
This girl I'm seeing right now thinks that's the most adorable thing in the world.
Oh, that's so nice. Look at you.
Yeah.
AJ in love.
Yes. Look at me.
Look at that. You're jolly.
This is what he looks like.
You're absolutely glowing. The articles, you need to write more articles. And considering how much you've written for the New Yorker, you need to be writing more for the New Yorker. But we've spoken about you writing a book, and I think that the book's going to be wonderful because I want you're going to be kind of the central character, not you, but like a character of a guy that lives in Cleveland and works at a day job at a crematorium or something like that, and he just has all of these crazy adventures, trying to achieve something.
To write a book.
Yeah, the adventure is to write a book, and then the entire book is about him not writing the book, and that's where the adventure actually comes in the life that happens to this guy, and then the book's going to be called "The Greatest Book Never Written."
Yeah,
and that's going to be it's going to be the great American novel, written by AJ in Cleveland,
AJ DiCosimo,
hot in Cleveland as they call him,
AJ Sweet Pea.
AJ Sweet Pea. DiCosimo.
Yes.
Can't wait.
John Dick.
Yes. It's interesting meeting people that you talk to only on email, and then when you actually get to, we still haven't even met, you know.
Right. I think the first actual audible conversation. I think the first audible conversation you and I had with each other was like 6 months ago.
Yeah.
And when was the first piece I wrote for you? 2016?
The first piece you wrote for me was...
I think was the how to kill your livestock.
How to kill your livestock. A very relatable piece that many people would get. It was called The Art of the Slaughter, 7 More Humane Ways to Kill Your Livestock.
What year did I write that?
2018.
Wow. I've known you for a lot of years now.
But I feel like you emailed earlier than 2018.
I did.
Take your animal to an upscale Italian restaurant about halfway through your meal. Start speaking Italian, so if anyone is eavesdropping, they won't know what you're talking about. Excuse yourself to the lavatory to retrieve the gun that was planted by one of your confidants. Return to the table and let the cinematic tension... And then I have to read the entire article now because I trailed off. But then you end up murdering the chicken like in The Godfather.
Funny story with that. I was taking Brooke Preston's of the the Belladonna.
Yep.
Her Second City satire writing class, and that is what I came up with on my assignment. And then you ran it.
I did. I ran it. I'm in that.
Yeah, but I don't think you knew that until right now.
No, I knew that you had taken. I knew that you had taken the class from Brooke. And is that when you started writing comedy?
So it's so weird. Okay, so the first actual comedy, like I was doing stand-up before that. And I was writing like guest posts.
Yeah.
For like local zines. There was this magazine called Rooster out of Boulder, Colorado. That was really cool. I wrote a couple things for them. I was browsing Twitter one day, and I see a tweet from Allie Gertz, originally from Mad Magazine.
Right.
Put out a tweet that said, "Hey, sorry to hear what happened at Cracked.com. They laid off a whole bunch of writers." This is around 2017, 2018.
Yeah.
If any of you guys who wrote for Cracked want to come write for Mad Magazine, just shoot me a DM. So I shot her DM, totally lying to her that I wrote for Cracked. I'm like, because I want to write for Mad.
Yeah.
Why the fuck wouldn't I want to write for Mad? She gets back to me that day. She's like, "You're in." I'm like, "I'm writing for Mad Magazine."
Nice.
And then I was a pretty good one-liner.
Yeah.
Joke writer. Like you've seen clips of my stand-up, I think.
You wrote me
I'm a
jokes.
good one-liner.
You're very
What?
good. You're a very good joke writer. You wrote me some jokes that I needed to tell jokes because I was hosting the stand-up comedy show in New York, the Guaranteed Delivery Show.
Yeah.
And I needed jokes because I was hosting because the guy that was hosting bailed, so I had to host, but I didn't have any material. So I remember I emailed you and I was like, AJ, I need like 10 jokes. And I need to be a stand-up comic like right now. And you sent me a bunch of jokes, and a lot of them I was like,
Do they work?
I was like, I can't use that. I can't use that. One of them was absolutely wonderful, and the comedians that were there were like, that was a good joke, and I was like, I didn't write it. But I had some big comics who were there. It was Mark Norman was there, and who else was there? I think Carmen Lagala was there, but it was a great joke, and you wrote it for me, and it was very nice. And it was. So I'm going to a gender reveal party this weekend, but I'm kind of nervous. I'm kind of nervous.
I remember the joke.
I'm kind of nervous.
I remember the joke. Do you want me to do it?
No, I'm kind of nervous to show my genitals to all these people.
That is such a good joke.
I'm going to a gender reveal party this weekend. I'm excited, but I'm kind of nervous to show my genitals to all those people. And I did it like that, like I did it real dry, and people thought that was very funny. But then the other ones, the other ones you had me doing, like it was like I couldn't tell it was like the situation that the joke was a part of. I'm like, this doesn't fit my life at all. Like there's no way I can tell this joke. So it's because like the joke starts out. So I was covering myself in shaving cream and playing Tom Petty the other day, and everyone would be like,
"Did I really write that as a setup?"
No.
Oh. So I fancy myself as a one-liner guy.
Yeah.
And then I get in to the Mad Writers Room.
Yeah. And you're writing tweets for jokes for the Twitter.
Yeah. And it was this room. It was the Mad morning crew. And this is where I met Bob.
Mm-hmm.
Sarah Hutto.
Mm-hmm.
Who, in my opinion,
so funny,
is the best.
She's so funny.
I can only dream to be as funny as Sarah. She has written some of the funniest stuff of the last 25 years in the literary humor world.
Yeah.
In the literary humor world. I'm sorry, I stumbled over my word.
So
one of the funniest people I've ever met. So Brian Boone, I think, might have been in there.
Brian Boone.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Ryan Kantz, and a lot of these really, really great writers. And then I'm like, wow, everybody in here is good at one-liners.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, I think I might have been off more than I could
I
chew.
think Sarah Aswell may have been in there too.
Yeah, she was in there.
Yeah. There was a lot of good people in the Mad Magazine writer room for the Twitter. Like, they had a lot of good joke people.
Yeah. And I just conned my way in.
You did. That was very Cleveland of you. I thought that was smart.
Yeah, that was. I conned my way in. Now, it wasn't technically a con, because at the time, anybody could sign up to be a craft writer.
Yeah, there's like a blog. You could just be like,
Yeah, and I did. I just never wrote anything for him. But I was a cracked writer.
Right. You had an account.
I had an account. And I get in there, and then just right off the bat, they started buying jokes from me. And then Bob emailed me, like, separately, which was like, he's a legend. Bob Eckstein's a legend.
He's so funny.
He's one of the funniest human beings that's ever lived. And he's just like, dude, who are you? Like, and it was just so nice. And I remember it was through him, I think we got introduced.
Yeah.
I believe. And Bob's just so great. They're all so great. Brooke Knisley, I've written stuff with as well.
She's very funny. She's very clever.
Yeah.
She's out in California now.
Yeah, she was living in Brooklyn, in your neck of the woods, for a little bit.
I never even got to meet her. I think she was here, and then she was gone. And
she was only there briefly, maybe 6-7 months.
And then now she's in California, and she, I think, aside, in addition to writing, she's like rehabbing a house and making it into like an Airbnb. It looks great.
Yeah, for artists. She told me I could stay in there whatever I want for free.
What? That's great. Why are you not there right now?
Yeah, but I would pay her for it.
Get out to California.
I know. I get to San Diego.
San Diego.
Yeah, she's in San Diego.
And is it Aaron? Your writing partner? Eric.
Jess.
I keep thinking her name is Aaron. Falstaff.
Fallstick.
I'm the worst at everything.
Dude, one of the funniest moments I've ever had with Jess was when her and I took over the Weekly Humor's Twitter account on Oscar night.
That's right.
And then when the slap happened, her and I called each other. We were like, wait a second. And we actually predicted that.
Yeah.
In the piece I wrote for you.
Yeah.
That you were like, you need to give me this. I predicted something similar to that.
You did. You actually wrote on, there's a great, but it's it's an old person smacking another person. Let me see who it was. This was true Oscar facts, and this was like 2 days before the Oscars.
No, this was that afternoon.
Sally Field is the only person to ever get into a fist fight with the host when she punched Bob Hope in the face at the 131st ceremony.
The funniest part about that to me isn't necessarily the fact that I wrote that before Will Smith hit Chris Rock, but the math on it, that I said that it happened at the 131st. I don't know why.
And now Will Smith is out for, I think it was 11 years?
10. Yeah,
is
10 or 11
years? No, it's 10. So it's a decade. So now we measure decades in when can Will Smith be at the Oscars again?
Right.
It's like
how old is your son? Oh, Will Smith is allowed to be back at the Oscars again.
Has it been 10 years already? Wow. It's like a Scaramouche. It's like any kind of weird measurement that's based on some famous time passing thing. Are you still doing stand-up comedy?
Yeah, not as much. Not as much as I was. That's not where my heart's at.
Okay. It's
not in stand-up. It's in doing this.
It's in the written word.
It is. I don't want to take up time from someone that actually cares. Not that I don't care.
Yeah.
my passion is in the crafting of it,
Yeah.
not in the necessarily performance of it.
Yeah. Well, you're a very good writer. And,
Thank you.
So what can you tell? I want you to give advice to people listening who want to be comedy writers like you, and they want to be published in the New Yorker like you, or they want to do that. They want to write one-liners for a major brand on Twitter. So how did you learn? What is your philosophy for writing comedy? How do you make something funny when you're sitting down to your computer to write?
So obviously, I think the best piece of advice I could give is try to read what they're running. And if you pay attention, these are the things that make the editors laugh. And if you go from, I'm trying to get into Weekly Humorist or McSweeney's or Shouts and Murmurs, and you go to, I'm trying to make Marty Dundix laugh, or I'm trying to make Chris Monks or Emma Allen laugh, then you narrow it down to one person.
Yeah.
And then you're just like, okay, I just need to send them something that they're going to enjoy reading. And if I can do that, then I'm going to get ran at some point.
Yeah.
That's how I look at everything. Every piece I write. I'm just
and that's true too, because I think, and I don't know if maybe I said this someplace, but I talked either about Columbo or Murder, She Wrote before. And then I got a couple of articles that it were about Murder, She Wrote and Columbo. And I'm like, hilarious. Posted.
I mean, obviously you have to have the ability.
Yeah.
You have to have ability. And that comes with practice. I think rage is good. Anger is good to have. Most of the great writers of all time were angry. But you have to figure out how to shape that into wit.
Yeah.
If I'm reading it and I'm not laughing, then you missed. And if I'm reading it and I go, oh, this guy's mad or this woman's mad, you missed.
Yeah, sometimes you can get something and you can tell that this person is angry at one thing that bothered them today or yesterday. So they're writing a piece about it, and it's like the least. It's such a niche thing. Like this, the audience for this is this person that's writing it is the only person that would like this article.
Yeah.
Like this is so specific that it is completely unrelatable to anybody else. It would be. I always think it'd be a really funny skit for someone to do, like an SNL that is aimed just at you. Like, watch a skit. Like, think of like an SNL skit about, or maybe it'd be like a digital comedy version. But it'd be like SNL where the only audience is you. So all of the satirical skits are just about things that happen to you in your life, and people making fun of them. But like nobody would think any of these things are funny. But like the skits,
except you.
The skits are about like the interaction you had with this guy at the grocery store, and you're like, "This is hilarious." Oh,
absolutely,
that'd be great. But that's useless. I mean, obviously, no one would find that relatable at all.
No, you're not going to get around that way.
But it would be great to see an SNL that's catered just to what you want. I think we're going in that direction with all the AI developed everything. So soon they'll be able to be like completely curated comedy for you and your experience.
Yes.
Yes.
The other thing that I think I would tell people is learn how to write a joke. Joke.
Like a beat, like the beats of a joke?
Yeah. Everything I've ever written is the genesis of it was a joke. A setup punchline.
Like a basic monologue joke, like a basic
Ronnie Dangerfield.
Yeah.
Mitch Hedberg, Jack Handy. If you can do that, that's a layup.
Yeah.
And that is a fundamental element of all of this. You're not going to get very far in basketball if you can't make a layup.
And there's a formula to it. Like there's ways that you can write, whether it's taking two topical things or two things into a joke, and then you merge them together in the end for a twist, or there's like this ways that you can make jokes, and you can cut it down into a formula so that it's not so abstract. Like, to write comedy doesn't have to be so abstract. You can actually break it down into sections when you're saying this is a thing and this is a thing and this is where I tie them together, or I refer back to this, or I have a callback, or I have a rule of three.
Yes.
There's definite things to do, so it's not such a crazy thing to say, I need to learn how to write comedy. There are books. There's some very good articles written by people who were writers at late night shows who have written books and articles just on the art of writing monologue jokes.
I wouldn't have had anything ran by anybody if I didn't look at I got lucky that I had the luxury of being in a Mad Morning Room, because I got to watch Sarah Hutto and Bob Eckstein, Ryan Kahns, and Sarah Oswald write jokes, and I learned how to do it.
So was this like a shared Google Doc where you could actually see them like typing a joke?
Yeah.
That's awesome. So you're like, where is this going? Oh wow, that's an amazing punchline. Like, I didn't.
Yeah,
see that
sometimes
coming.
I would see that. Sometimes I would just see them get copy and pasted in there. I was definitely the most raw out of all of them in there. But it was read jokes. Read Jack Handy.
Yeah.
You know, when you learn how to do that, it makes everything easier.
Good advice, AJ DiCosimo.
DiCosimo.
I said that. That's what I said.
That is what you said. I'm just reinforcing it.
I wish you were in New York, AJ. I'm trying to get together a Weekly Humorist softball team for next season.
Oh. Ooh, I hit for power, baby.
I was talking to Jason Chatfield about the New Yorker softball team because I was like,
he was in the bad room.
Jason Chatfield was, yes.
Yeah.
I was like, I want to get in this league and I want to play you guys. And he was like, this is who's organizing our league. And I'm like, okay. So and you're gonna wear stuff like this, and we're gonna play softball, and we're just gonna kick.
Yeah, I'm first base or I'm nothing.
All right, you can be first base.
All right.
We'll have you on Zoom. We'll hold up a computer at first.
Yeah, I'll
base.
be right there. I have my grandma's. She's dead now, but I have her old baseball glove from like 1932.
Was she like on the Peaches or something? Was she a?
No. She wasn't that old. No, not from 32. The glove was probably from the late 40s, early 50s.
Okay, she wasn't in a league.
So one of those little old ones.
Right.
I'll use that.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, AJ. This has been a nice talk. It's been very.
Thanks for having me, Martin.
It's very fun. I think you got a funny story in there of a cringeworthy thing. I would say you, covered in shaving cream, playing Tom Petty, definitely counts as a Talkward story. And then
that qualifies.
Also, you shaved someone's eyebrow off while doing that.
I did.
Very strange. Very strange. Rock and roll. Cleveland.
Hell yeah.
Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is in Cleveland, right?
Cleveland rocks.
Cleveland rocks. If you
Ian Hunter.
If anybody's going out to Cleveland for a funeral or just for fun, stop in and see AJ. Pick up some Penzi spices. AJ will take you around to all of the hot spots of Cleveland. They have a ongoing tire fire, I think, and all kinds of fun things.
All sorts of great stuff.
Hey, and you have the Cleveland Guardians.
Yes, the Cleveland Guardians, which I think I explained to you the genesis of the name the other day, right? Was that you?
There is a statue that is the Guardian.
The Guardians of Traffic.
The Guardians of Traffic. And that's been there since the 30s?
100 years, yeah.
It's like a very Art Deco, beautiful statue, the Guardians.
Only people from here know it.
So that's, I mean, people don't know why the Guardians, it wasn't just the name, happened to have the same ending as the Cleveland
Indians.
Yes,
the Indians, yeah.
But the Guardians is actually a name that was there for a longer time than the baseball team had even been there.
Yeah.
And do you go to the baseball games?
Oh yeah, I'm a big sports guy.
Is the new Cleveland hat, does it have the new branding on it?
Yes. Well, it just has like a black C right now.
Okay.
That new logo, nobody's a fan of. It's like the G with the wings and the baseball in between it. Nobody's crazy about it.
All they have to do is get the baseball from Major League, the movie Major League, and we just put that on the hat.
Yeah.
That's all that matters. It's the only reason.
That's all they have to do.
It's the only reason anyone knows the Cleveland team at all was because of Major League and Major League 2. It's the only reason.
Well, I think Jim Brown and LeBron James, people kind of knew those people existed.
I mean baseball. I mean Cleveland
baseball, yeah.
Cleveland baseball is
very historic.
It's Wild Thing Vaughn.
Yeah.
That's it. So just put
Tom Berenger.
Put Tom Berenger, put Corbin Bernstein, put the girl who was the owner that everybody hated, and then they slowly took her clothes off of the mannequin. Everybody also, go watch Major League. It's a great movie.
It's fantastic.
It's a great movie. Go Cleveland. Cleveland rocks.
Yeah.
All right. And go read some of AJ's stuff on The New Yorker and on Weekly Humorist. He's going to have some new stuff on Weekly Humorist soon, and he's going to be writing this book, the greatest book never written.
Yeah.
It's going to be coming out from Humorist Books. When do you think? Maybe like a year or two? 2 years?
Maybe 2 years. Yeah, we're going to say 2 years. This is the first time we've ever talked about it out loud to people.
Well, now it's going to happen because now it's been said. It's in video. This is a contract of sorts. I think that now you have to write it.
I'm verbally committed to it.
You were verbally committed to this book now.
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited. Follow AJ on Twitter. What is your Twitter, AJ?
At AJ DiCosimo.
DiCosimo.
Yeah.
I'm just making sure that you said it right. And then you can also
Marty, you son of a gun.
And then you can also follow him on Instagram at AJ Sweet Pea DiCosimo.
Yeah.
And then if you're lucky enough to be on his pre-OnlyFans newsletter, where he sends out videos of himself covered in shaving cream playing guitar. I don't know how you get on that list, but it's on the dark.
Email me. Hit me up.
Just hit him up.
Hit me up in the DMs.
He'll put you on that weird list. All right.
And check me out every week on the Bill Squire Show.
Oh, yeah. Let's talk about, you're on the Bill Squire Show.
Yes.
And that is a radio station in Cleveland?
It is the legendary 100.7 WMMS The Buzzard. It's a podcast with them. Bill Squire is the second mic on the afternoon drive time show.
And people can get the Bill Squire Show on the iHeart.
Wherever you get your podcasts.
But also on the iHeartRadio app.
That's true.
And that's where you record it at the iHeartRadio studios in Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
I could see you being a radio guy, AJ. I could see you being...
That was the first thing I wanted to do.
I could see you being a morning show sidekick.
Yeah, I'd be a good one.
You would be. In fact, then we can also tell the listeners that there's going to be another weekly humorist podcast called Humorist Hangouts, and that's going to be like a panel comedy show of people talking about what's happening in comedy, and we're going to have like a humorist hot list. Oh, there's all kinds of alliteration. It's wonderful. And we're going to be talking about things happening in the world of comedy, TV, stand-up, whatever. And AJ is going to be on that show, too. Isn't that exciting?
I'm the world's greatest sidekick.
World's greatest sidekick. So be listening for that. But follow AJ on all of the platforms and read his writing. And his book's going to be out, next couple of years. And then we're going to adapt it to a movie. And it's going to be just a huge monster hit. And we're going to get... Who could play you in the movie adaptation of this book?
Cate Blanchett.
I love it. I think that's a great cast. I think.
An honest person who I think could play me. People tell me that I look like Fred Armisen a lot.
Okay.
I get Fred Armisen and I get Jermaine Clement from Flight of the Conchords.
Okay.
I get those two guys a lot.
Yeah, I think it's the glasses.
Yeah, I think so too. It's nothing else.
Well, I'm sure any of them would look great covered in shaving cream playing Tom Petty. So as long as you have an actor that can pull off that, maybe Christian Bale, if he can play a bowl of beef stew, maybe he can play you.
Christian Bale can do anything.
He really can. He can do anything.
Yeah. He could play Snow White, and he would be the right choice.
Thanks, AJ.
This is getting erotic. We gotta end this.
Yeah. Okay, please, thanks for listening. Follow Talkward at Talkward Podcast and subscribe to Weekly Humorist at Weekly Humorist. Hey, thanks for listening. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to Talkward. Please subscribe, follow us, and visit weeklyhumorist.com.